What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Fatherhood Village podcast, the official home for proud fathers and mentors. I am Dale Holloway here with Kev Hick. We are your TFV hosts. Listen, a hot topic, all right? A lot of people have been talking about this, on the YouTube surface and a lot of other places. We spoke about this topic before, and we want to kind of delve in a little bit more with this, all right? We're talking about defining masculinity in America. All right. So before we hit that off, we're gonna holler at my boy Kev Hick. Ask how he doing. Yo, Kev, what's going on, baby?
Oh man, I'm chilling, bro. No complaints. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm great. I'm great. I'm actually abroad here in Alabama for for some
Stateside.
for some schooling. So
Yeah, stateside.
some warm weather going on now. I'm not used to it right now.
Yeah, Alaska would do that to a man.
Right, right. Uh, but yeah, man. So it's some things that I felt that we need to hit on. Uh, Coming from two honorable gentlemen, masculine men. Obviously, with seeing pictures and imagery of Russell Westbrook and those of the like, it brings a question. It may draw a lot of attention, maybe some unwanted attention. Some different biases are out here, some unpopular opinions. So I think it's important that we talk about this. And what is your definition of masculinity? What comes to mind when you see that word, when you think of that word?
I think sturdiness, steadfast, solid, responsible, service led, leadership, patience, maturity, um, just overall, loving through action, right? Too often, a lot of us think our masculinity is in our aggression, when our masculinity is in our service and our dependability. The men are supposed to be providing the community and their tribe a service, and I think we've gotten way too far away from that. So for me, that's what the impact of real men is supposed to be: a well-serviced community. I don't know what we have now. It's definitely not a well-serviced community. We have a lot of young men very confused about the role of men in society as it pertains to what they're supposed to do for their own. All they seem to identify with is their sexual conquest and the impact that they themselves or their ego can have in the world around them or the atmosphere around them. So we appear to be lost, man. Masculinity is losing its place in our society, especially as it pertains to the black man.
I agree. I agree. And I think being in America, and I'll probably talk about this more often, is kind of because so many immigrants, so many different uh, ethnic background individuals are a part of this country. A lot of cultural identity whitewash or things of that nature have kind of took us back as far as us learning our own identity, conforming and building, constructing that, because obviously we have a unique history in this country. And I think a lot of people discount that, dismiss it. And I think, quite frankly, a lot of us are still kind of lost when it comes to identifying what masculine man represents in our culture, in the black culture.
Yeah.
All right. So, because some people have one idea and their idea may stem from another culture's idea of what masculinity is.
That's what we
Um,
got.
yeah. So I just feel like when I see something, the picture of Russell Westbrook, and he's worn questionable things before, and people try to chalk it up to fashion, metrosexual type of tendencies and behavior. But I think it's a little deeper than that. I think because we're so inundated and influenced with cultures outside of our own without a clear conscience understanding of what masculinity is, what our own culture is supposed to symbolize. I think we kind of fall victim to some type of amorphous idea, because it's almost like it's ever changing. As soon as we find out new information, like, oh, okay, we should adopt that, or that's cool, or you know what I'm saying, that's
Yeah.
hot, and that's stylish, that's the
It's a
trend. You know,
progressive
we get caught up on trends and
it's a
and trying to
progressive
be different.
society. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So
progressive society.
yeah, so I've seen a lot of conflict when I seen that picture. And it's not the first time we've seen men in dresses, black men in dresses, right?
Right.
So this is, I had a conversation with Angel, and she, like I said, we had a very healthy conversation. She brought some things to mind, and I had some good insight after speaking with her. But um, there's a history of dresses, and I guess it represents different things in
Yeah.
different parts of the world. So Nigeria has a history. Obviously, the Dutch community, Scottish culture. So, uh, and people are like, "Hey, unless he has that in his background," like, because a lot of us want to make sense of this, right?
Right.
Some of us are more logical. They try to have some type of functional, forward thinking about it,
Yeah.
and some people are kind of like, nah, I don't think that's the case. And obviously, Russell Westbrook, he's not going to make a public statement about what he's doing. Why would he? So, but I have another question. So, is black heterosexual masculinity a perceived threat in America and otherwise?
For me, I think that black men are a threat to America. I don't know if the systems that be care if we like it, in bed with women or we like it in bed with men. I think that while buck breaking is a very old and original form of masculinity killing for black men in this country, I don't think that they believe buck breaking is necessary to hold us in place. I think that other things have proven just as effective, right? The drug trade, the resources that go into importing drugs from other countries through avenues that black people don't control and don't have access to, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
never had the planes, trains, or automobiles to get these things from other countries, right? Those things are put in place through a system. The prison industrial complex is another form of buck breaking and instilling the masculinity from the home. In Hollywood specifically, the dress phenomenon is in general used to feminize a very masculine, strong male who has the reputation or the character of strength in the black community. So those things exist, but I'm not positive that they believe that the masculinity of a black man is as threatening as the black man in general, and all he encompasses, and all the black woman and the black man together united would actually encompass. So for me, while I know that there is a history of buck breaking, and that should definitely be something we consider in this conversation, I think for me the bigger picture is still way more prevalent, which is by any means necessary diminish the black male spirit. And while that might be a masculine or a heterosexuality attack, it's also hell, they don't like the gay blacks any more than they like the straight blacks. Like, they don't want none of us to be out here thriving and creating culture
Mm.
and deciding what's best for our community, and also ultimately doing what's best for our community. I think that it always goes back to that, whether it's distraction politics, whether it's the prison industrial complex, whether it's the programming of women and men of color against each other, whether it's the what do you say, to how they commodify all of our assets and all of our style and all of our culture and appropriate it to other things, and make money off of things that we are shunned for. Um, I just don't believe that the sexuality of a black man is as threatening as his skin, and the nature of our unity and the power of our unity if it was realized. I think that the overall goal is to conquer the black by any means necessary, and this is just one of the fingers on the hand of white supremacy, but it's definitely not the biggest or the brightest shining one.
Got you. Got you. Um, and I agree. I agree. I don't think in a lot of ways that the threat is on one perceived um, version of the black male.
Well,
And that kind of leads me to ask, are other forces pinning, the different black male sexualities against each other? Um, because obviously we need unity, we need cohesion. So is it something like smoke screens or
I think sometimes it is like smoke screens. Like you take for instance Mansa Musa, right? Richest man in the history of the world, right? Jeff Bezos still hasn't reached the Mansa Musa level of rich or wealth. Neither has Elon Musk. They will pass it eventually because they're very young for the riches they've acquired. So they will pass it. But right now, Mansa Musa today is still the richest man in the world to ever exist, owning all the gold and ruby and diamond assets of Africa, all the mine assets of Africa. Right. When other countries decided or discovered, I'm sorry, the wealth of Africa through Mansa Musa's travels, how he would just drip wealth so bad that he would destabilize the economies in places he went and places he just traveled through. He was dropping so much wealth that it changed the way of life for communities that he just passed through with his caravan. Um, a bunch of European countries, and a bunch of different continents decided, okay, we need to overwhelm Africa with attacks from all different sides, and this is how we will acquire the wealth of Africa, right? That method of attacking from all sides, right? He fought so many different wars at one time that it was just too overwhelming for Mansa Musa's armies in Africa to even organize to fight these wars. Every country in Africa was being attacked by another army, right, from a whole nother country. They couldn't even plan or prepare for attacks because they were coming in such large varieties and from every direction. And I think that in a way, the black man in America and the black woman in America have the same strategy used against them. Once freedom was attained, every single direction was some threatening figure, trying to either rip us from each other or tear us down from where we stood. And I think that this is just one of those things. So it is a little bit of smoke and mirrors because it's actually probably the smallest for me. And I could be wrong about this, but I don't think that studies have revealed that gays are any particular majority. And even though blacks are minority, the gay percentage is still in single digits, as far as we've understood and as far as we know and can gather from data. Now, it could have been updated since the last time, but as far as the last piece of data I remember receiving, it was still under 5%. So while it might make a spectacle, they might make a spectacle out of homosexuality or even metrosexualism and the fashion that comes with that. It's more of it's like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? It's the spectacle of defeminization, but it's not necessarily the reality for most of us. But it's another
mm,
thing that we can say, hey, look over here, shiny object. And while we're looking over there, they're doing something way more devious and way more impactful. And yes, I still don't want, obviously, to have to explain to my sons every single day, every time I turn on the TV, while some guy is doing something that he might want to do, and I'm going to encourage him against it. But at the same time, man, hell, how do you encourage a kid away from wanting to turn every woman into a sex object because that's what every music video shows? How do you encourage a kid away from picking up a gun
absolutely.
and solving every issue or argument with the pistol because that's what he sees on every movie, every TV show, and listen to in every rap song? Like, I mean, we have bigger issues than homosexuality or cross dressing, but it's still one of those things that my son might say, "Hey, what is that a dress he has on, Dad?" Yeah, he's wearing a fucking dress. Well, okay, why is he wearing a dress? I guess he wants to dress like a girl. I don't know. like,
Yeah.
wait, like
Yeah.
we, do you want to
And,
dress
and
like a
it
girl? No, I'm good. All right, then we good. You know what I'm saying? But
right. And that's another thing, like those type of images poses those questions from our youth. And I know a lot of us haven't prepared for that.
yeah,
Maybe we don't know the right way to describe or educate them in different ways, obviously based on the age, and we got to appropriate the conversation based on the age. But
Mm-hmm.
my wife brought up an interesting conversation, and you kind of alluded to it. Obviously, innately, you're going to say, you're going to kind of be against that type of behavior for your son, because of the way you were brought up, the way you
Right.
were raised. So that'll happen naturally. But my wife, she was saying that, um, because at one point my son, he looks up to his sister, right? So she got into
Yeah.
ballet, and there was a time where in her ballet class there was a young boy in the class as well. So my son saw that and thought that, okay, this type of dance performance is acceptable with boys, and so he had interest. Uh, I'm not sure if it was a interest because his sister was
Yeah.
involved with that, or a personal interest, or some of both.
Yeah.
Don't know, but I kind of said, hey, that type of thing is for girls. Let's try to get you involved with something else. So, and my
And I
wife she told me later, yo, you kind of hurt his feelings. You kind of set him back, letting him, tell him that, that's not accessible for you, So I had to think like, man, like, maybe I should give him this freedom to, see if he really enjoys it. And, because they're at that young age, they don't know the difference. And, sometimes we steer them in the direction that we want them to travel as opposed to them deciphering and discerning things on their own. But go ahead.
that's a very, very profound point. But again, I'm not one who thinks everything needs to be profound, right? So, I'm with you. I'm with her, and I'm not with her. So for different reasons. So we were talking about if masculinity is under attack, or if the black imagery, or the black men are. What's under attack here? What's under attack here is a father's right to guide his son to be the man he understands men should be. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, parenthood is about the parent guiding a child in such a direction that the parent themselves has come to understand is the best way. Right?
Right.
That's your right and your duty as a dad to guide your child to be, hopefully, if you believe in the person you are, if you're proud of the man you are, you're trying to guide your child to be the most like him, but the most like you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or your daughter, the most like her mom, but also her own version of her mom, right?
Yeah.
You want to get two parents who are good role models. You want to guide your child to have the best qualities that you can muster, and their own great qualities, and to come into their own greatness. But what's
Mm-hmm.
under attack is a father's right and a father's privilege without judgment to say, hey, listen, son, I understand that you think that's cool. I know you look up to your big sister, but that's not really a masculine thing. That's not really a boy thing. There will be boys in it, but that's not necessarily something that we do in our house. That's not a boy thing in this house. But hey, congratulate your sister. Let's support her, and let's find you something more suited for young men. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, now some people might say that's terrible. That's horrible. You stumping that kid's dream. No, yeah, he ain't got no damn dreams of being a ballerina. He just, what does he know? He's 4.
Yeah.
What the hell does he know? You can expose him to a whole different world of something else that interests him, and he'll forget it just like that. In that moment, he'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm learning." Like, my son said something the other day, and we had to straddle this same fence. My son said, it didn't make any sense at the time, but for him it did. He said, "Well, I was asking him about this cartoon character he likes, and he's got these new action figures." And I said, okay, well, which one is your favorite one? And he said, well, this one. And he gave the name, and I was like, okay, why? And he was like, well, he's my favorite because he's cool and he's handsome. That's what he said. But
Mm-hmm.
me and my wife tell my sons that they're handsome every day. It's
Mm-hmm.
common language in our house to say, hey, you handsome, you wise, you appreciate it, you're a warrior, you're a king, you capable, I mean, we speak so much power into our sons, but every day
Yeah.
they hear at some point that they're handsome or capable or loved. So he's only regurgitating what he's gotten from us. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not wrong for him to identify with handsome as a good thing, But what he doesn't understand and what he didn't understand in that moment was handsome is something that two men of a same family, two men who love each other, because I'm your dad. I got to tell you, you look good because you look like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't understand the identity behind why we're telling him he's handsome and he's, well loved and, he looks good. He's thinking that this is just something that you can give to anybody. Well, if you tell another man he's handsome, he may or may not assault you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I had to tell my son, listen, daddy tells you you're handsome all the time because you look like daddy. And, we good looking men in this family.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that because you need to know that about yourself. But that's not something that two men tell each other traditionally, because
Right.
they might not understand why you're telling them that. And they may take it the wrong way, and that might upset them or that might bother them. So that's not something you say to non-family members. You can tell daddy will tell you, we can tell Riley, your little brother, but you don't tell another man he's handsome, because that won't be received well most of the time. And he started getting a little bit sad, like he made a mistake. I said, no, you didn't make a mistake. You've done what you've been shown to do: show love and show kindness. But there are certain rules and boundaries when dealing with other men that you're not aware of yet, and I'm gonna have to show you over time. But that's just not something. Handsome isn't a word we use to describe other men unless they're our family members. And he's
Right.
like, okay. And he had a little bit of trouble with it. He was a little sad because he didn't like making mistakes, and he didn't know how to he didn't know how to figure out if he was doing something wrong or he had disappointed us. So he kind of went through his own thing. So in that moment, I kind of stumped out his little fire, or, I pressed him down a little bit, but it was, first of all, it was in love. It was very gentle. It was really considerate. It was as warm as I just told you. But he
Yeah.
needed that correction. And that's what a man's job is supposed to do. Because I'm gonna tell you something. All of these women, well, not all of them, but many of these women will listen to a story like mine, or listen to a story like yours you just told about your son, and they'll tell us, "Oh, how dare you stump his dreams out? Oh, how dare you tell him he's not supposed to? Men don't do this, men don't do that." But guess what? Let that man grow up. They ain't gonna give him no ass when he's running around in a dress, when he's jumping around in ballet, when he's telling other men they handsome. You think a woman wants to lay down with a man and chase a man down and be with a man and let a man lead her house, and he got the same feminine ass traits as she got? See,
Hmm.
everybody got compassion, but these women ain't laying down with these men, right?
Yeah.
They ain't gonna give him no ass, and he run around telling people they handsome, or your son's got a tutu on and a pink one, and he's flipping around. Ain't nobody trying to. That's what I'm saying. So women can
Yeah.
look at children. That's the difference between men and women. Women can look at children and see the innocence, and then they are unconditional about that, how the extent of the love and the caring and the nurturing they give. A man will look at a child and realize what that child needs to be, real, and look immediately into the challenges that the child will face, and he will govern that child as a small man, while a woman might govern the child as a child. And I think that there's a fine balance between the what a mother does and what a father does, and that is under attack. The difference in how men and how women raise children was always a necessary evil, and that is under attack. Everybody is now casting to the black man and every man right now to raise their children as a woman would raise her children. But
Mm.
that's not how men operate. Women, children need that pushback, that abrasion every once in a while. And so while I understand where Angel's coming from, that's more of a female perspective. And that's why you need a two-parent household. There needs to be a balance of challenge and triumph, right? There needs
Yeah.
to be a balance of warmth and cold. You can't govern in the same way, in the same speed, in the same tone as a woman would, not as the man
Yeah.
of the house, because now your child has one way when he should have gotten a balance, right, of feminine and masculine. Now he's just getting the feminine because we're trying to be nice about everything. And so there's a difference
Hmm.
between being abusive, or even inconsiderate to our children's needs and their development. But as a man, you understand what's in front of a man, and how kids
Hmm.
will and men will respond to certain things that your child does. So it's your duty and your job to be the bad guy in some of those situations, not because we're anti-gay, not because we don't want our children to do things that they don't want to do or make them happy, but because whenever it can be avoided, the trauma of ostracism through learned behaviors, it should probably be avoided. You want your son to grow up, be happy, love himself. feel confident in who he is, have an effect on the world, feel accepted by the people around him. We all want that for our children. And some shit will get a young man ostracized really quick. And like I said, with all the compassion that young women have and older women have, and even little girls have for guys who seem to have an identity crisis, they don't want to give them no ass. They ain't having babies by these guys. They're not accepting these men. These men are going home alone as adults. So we got to
Mhm.
make sure that the masculinity that women look and women look for and women seek out in men is there and present when that guy comes of age. But it happens because we have to challenge them as fathers to be like men, and we have to show them what men are.
Exactly. I agree. I agree. So going back to Russell Westbrook,
Mm-hmm.
do you think people are blowing it out of proportion? Should it just be simplified as fashion, or is just obviously he's a grown ass man. He gonna do what he want to do. He has his own family. I'm sure they either had that conversation or just omit it. I don't. But so I'm saying with masculinity, people saying that quote unquote he's comfortable in his own skin, in his own masculinity. Uh, do you think that that's good enough? Do you think it's deeper than that? Is
I
there
think
some
it.
other?
Oh, I think it's way deeper than that. I don't even think like when you say people like it's fashion, man. It's male designer clothes, man. Like that's just not fashion. It always makes me scratch my head a little bit when the spectacle does things for attention. So like you'd have like say me or you in our normal neighborhoods, in our normal hoods, we get a new pair of shoes. Well, we know most people won't have a new pair of shoes on, so that makes us the spectacle of the day because we fresh, right? We got a
Mhm.
new outfit, new shoes. So we're relatively normal, and then that fashion that we choose makes us the spectacle. That's normal. That's going from normal to for the day extraordinary, right? As far as the attention we might get. Well, Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook no matter where he's at. And he has one of the most distinctive faces in the NBA. He's one of the most recognizable figures in the NBA.
Yeah.
So no matter what Russell Westbrook wears, he's going to be a spectacle. He could literally wear a dollar store outfit or just a t-shirt and like plain generic basketball shorts. And when people see him, they're not going to be like, look what he got on. They're going to be like, that's Russell Westbrook. And they're going to be in awe because he's one of the greatest point guards to ever live. He's one of the most
Mhm.
explosive players to ever play the game. He's like a
Mhm.
point guard, Dominic Wilkins. He's crazy. So when you start to think about why he would don a dress, he's already the spectacle. And
Yeah.
now he's making a spectacle of himself. For me, that tells me that at some point, somewhere, at some time, he didn't get the attention he wanted, and even fame hasn't given him enough attention, and he's still craving the spectacle of fame. And they say fame is the worst drug known to man, and only famous people say that because only famous people understand it. Well, in witnessing Russell Westbrook go out of his way to wear a dress when he could have just put some Balenciaga or pick a goofy ass designer. I don't give a damn about them designers because ain't none of them black names. Niggas want to be Italian so bad. I swear to God. But beyond that, he could have put any white man's name or any white man's clothing brand on the back of his ass in pants, and he still would have. They would have like, damn, y'all see what Russell Westbrook had on? He free Russell Westbrook. He fresh, but he put on the dress as a statement. It's probably his rebellion. It's probably him trying to tell you he don't give a F while giving a F because he's making himself a spectacle. People who really don't care aren't trying to make themselves a spectacle. They don't care enough to make this statement that I don't give a F. And so I think he's confused about what he feels about himself and what he feels about how people feels about him. He still cares
Mhm.
about what people think and he's trying to act like he doesn't. And that's why he makes a spectacle of not caring what people thinks. But I don't think it's fashion for him. I don't think he was like, oh, this dress goes well with these shoes. I like it. I think he did it on purpose because it would have got him some attention. It got him some clicks, some news stories, and it made him the spectacle of the day. And apparently, because it's the NBA offseason and he can't get player of the week, this is the way he stays relevant. And I feel like it's more mental health and his addiction to attention than him actually liking the dress, which makes me a little bit sad because we've had to find ourselves creating new ways to shine in our community because we still are looking for the same level of equal and acknowledged value as other races just have in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what made me sad, is that a lot of us do that. A lot of us make a spectacle of ourselves because it's the only thing that gives us the value that was stolen from us when our names were stolen, our religions were stolen, our spiritual lives were stolen, our histories were stolen, our stories were stolen, our God was stolen. You know what I'm saying? Like our deity.
Everything.
And so now we have to create our own deity through what we do extraordinary in this life. And unfortunately enough, it often happens through fame.
Yeah. And that's the polarizing aspect, because obviously a lot of us, manly men, masculine men of tradition, we're not upholding someone like Russell Westbrook as a role model for our children. Obviously, we're the first role model,
Right.
and probably going to be the biggest. At least that's our intent. So I don't want this to come off as though we're paying so much attention to what we see in the media, and we're not taking care of what's more important. That's what's at home, and that's
Absolutely.
our place in the home. So this is just something to dawn is as far as a thought, and as far as what the bigger picture is. Because say we do everything right, our children see what's in the society. They see the whole spectrum. They see the Russell Westbrooks, the Jaden Smiths, the Kanye West, and, those different people, and they know that's not acceptable in the home. Their father doesn't wear it. Probably their close relatives, they don't, go with those type of things. But does that create curiosity later on? Do
Oh, yeah.
kids want to revolt and like, hey, I never tried this. I just want to see how it works. My peers, my circle, maybe I'm peer pressured. Then they tried, and then they make their own decisions once they're of age, adulthood, high school. What's are we kind of like, all right, hey, I did my job. I'm content. I'm at peace. Or it's like, oh, I feel like maybe what I did was inadequate and I didn't fulfill my duties in its entirety. How are we taking that if that's going to be the reality later on?
So I'm no expert, and I don't want to misspeak here, but I'm an expert on my opinion and my observation, right? And so I don't speak as a person who knows everything about gay people or cross dressers or anything like that. That's not what this is about. But what I've noticed is among the most flamboyant, among the most loud dressing, outward gay people, and among the types of guys that are wearing skirts and like ASAP Rocky wears skirts, Russell Westbrook wears skirts. I've seen a couple random brothers. It might have been Dwayne Wade. So I've seen a lot of skirts this year. They've been trying to make the skirt happen for men and dresses happen for men.
Yeah.
Among these guys, the spectacle is the drug of choice, and that tells me that at some point these men didn't get enough attention until it was programmed into them that the only way to be valuable was to create a spectacle. And so for families, and like I said, you can take it back from childhood. Like every time I've seen somebody who they would say a flaming, again, say the derogatory F word toward a gay gentleman, it was
Mm-hmm.
because he was being flamboyant. His hair was pink. He had a dress on. His shirt was tied in the front. It was completely an over exaggeration of even what femininity is, right?
Yeah.
Because it was meant for a spectacle. Look at me. Give me
Yeah.
attention. I need attention.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that people are drawn away or pushed away from, is the addiction to spectacle. And so I say all that to say this: our jobs as fathers is to give our children enough consideration and enough face time and enough eye contact and enough attention that they don't need to go out, become adults, and find ways to get other adults to look at them because they feel like they haven't been noticed.
Yeah.
Right. So our kids might be curious. That this could definitely trigger curiosity. Why is he wearing a dress, Dad? Well, he wants people to look at him. Well, why does he want people to look at him? Because he didn't get enough attention.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I wear a dress? No. I'm I'm gonna, and I don't get no fuck if somebody don't like that. I tell my son, no, you can't wear a dress, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. That's what's under attack. Is, oh, you're not supposed to tell that young man that you're supposed to. Your kid could be anything. Well, damn it, if he is, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. right? And
Mm.
he'll be the most dangerous MMA fighting ass, flamer ever. But at the time,
Yeah.
right now, no, I'm not gonna raise. He's not gonna get that from me. He gonna pick that shit up from somewhere else, or it's gonna be what just comes out of him, what materializes from his DNA. But he's not gonna get trained on it by me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give him some pushback until I'm gonna try to guide him in the way he should go. So when he's old, he does not go astray, like the Bible says. Even so, yes, it will
Is
create
is
curiosity.
is there is there a limit to, or is there like an expiration to when you'll stop pushing back maybe as much? Is it
I
like,
think,
hey, he's 13, or hey, he's 18, let
yeah,
me dial
I
it
think,
back? Or
by the time a child is hell 12, they kind of know who they want to be. They have an idea about what they want the world to think of them. They might
mm,
not know what they like the man. Like I didn't know what type of man I wanted to be. I didn't know what type of man I would be. I just knew I wanted to be a great man. That's all I knew at 12. I didn't know what that would even look like, what direction that would take. I just wanted to be a good person, a great man. I wanted to be respected. Now at 12, if you got a young man who still just his drug of choice is attention, then I'm not sure you can do much to reverse course at 12. I think
yeah,
at 12, we all had peach fuzz mustaches and we thought we knew what the hell we were doing. And for the
yeah,
most part, our humanity didn't change. What we knew, our knowledge changed, maybe our habits, patterns, and practices based on the groups we were around and the atmosphere. But what we wanted and who we were and how we presented was kind of the same, right? It just matured. It got more appropriate with time. But I think that for me, the pushback would kind of start to cease around 13. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I
yeah.
guess your style just funny, man. Look, do what you gotta
Right,
do,
right.
bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you done had to defend it at school by now if you wearing dresses, bro. I ain't gonna buy the shit for you, fam, but I drop you off at the mall. I drop you off at the mall, man. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to catch the bus, bro. I take you to the mall. You can get your little dress and shit, man. But damn.
Right.
At least go to wrestling class next week so they don't kick your ass with that dress on, man. You feel what
Yeah,
I'm saying? But
yeah,
I want my son to be who he wants to be. I don't want him to be who I want to be. But at the same time, I have an obligation to guide him in the way he should go until he decides who he wants to be. And so
yeah,
there is a passing of the not the torch, but the will and the passing of the identity, right? Where he has to decide, okay, you know what, Dad, you give me all I can get. I'm gonna take it from here. I think I know what I want to be with this now. I think I know where I want to
mhm,
take this. And at that time, I think around 12 or 13, not that they should make adult decisions. I don't believe in permanent decisions. I think Dwayne Wade was tripping when he was talking about letting that sex change happen. That shit, yo, he was mad at
bro.
Boosie. They was mad at Boosie, but Boosie was dead right. Now Boosie has done way more to misguide young people than Dwayne Wade or his son. So it's not comparable.
Yeah, right.
But
It's two different sides, right,
when you're
of the
talking
spectrum.
about letting a child make a permanent decision, adults change their mind at the drop of a hat. Like
Mhm.
no child should. We can't smoke. We can't do a great. We can't rent a car. We can't rent a hotel room at 18. But you gonna let a 13-year-old get a sex change? Like in that case, that type of stuff. No, hell no.
Yeah, that's all.
We pushing back and we pushing back until you move the hell out of my house and can afford that shit yourself. You're not about to be in middle school with no sex change. Come on with
Yeah,
this shit.
yeah,
And it's happening a lot. And I know even my sister-in-law, she was in middle school and her little boyfriend was actually a trans person and had all the stuff. And I was just trying to figure out why a parent would let a child make such a permanent decision in such a temporary situation. And because
yeah,
I know personally, and I've met personally some trans people who made the decision a little bit too early and now are regretful of it, and again, this ain't about transgender, and love and respect to them, but I just need an adult to make that type of permanent decision. If I can't
mhm,
smoke, if I can't rent a car, if I can't sign in a hotel room, I probably shouldn't be able to cut stuff off my body that I can't put back later. Because if I
yeah,
have any mental issues before I'm diagnosed as a child, before my brain and my chemicals and my hormones are done developing that help me make those decisions, if there's any wavering, by the time I've mutilated myself or changed myself, I'm even more confused and more unhappy with the result as I grow older and old enough to regret the decision. So I think that that's piss poor parenting, and that's the type of pushback that needs to extend beyond 13, 14, when it's a permanent decision. But hell,
right.
he ain't about to glue the dress to his ass when they gonna be stuck to him. You gonna have a bad Tuesday if somebody think your dress is ugly at school, son. Have a good day. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
and the fact that they're able, and that's something that's can be approved medically,
Mm.
you know. So obviously, I mean, it's at the state level and things of that nature. Then it's like, is there a agenda? Is there, you know what I'm saying? Is there some type of
I don't think
propaganda behind this? Like,
I don't think it's propaganda. I just think I think media coverage, representation, and we all pro representation. We're all pro representation until somebody that we're a little bit different from gets their representation. So for me, I have to always check my biases. Yeah, we want black representation. We always talk about we need more black actors. We need more black in politics, more black lawyers, doctors, judges. We want all these black people to do things and be seen in public doing them because we need to change the imagery of black people. We've been dehumanized, and most of the time they only show us as criminals on the news, right? So we need representation in Hollywood of different types of black people, different type of lifestyle. We, all of those things. Well, because I understand and I'm so pro black representation in the different forms of media and marketing and just life in general and all these different segments, I can't then say, well, I don't understand why gay people need representation or trans people need representation. I understand immediately. I get it. But
yeah,
I still, that's they shit, right? That's
yeah,
if you want to live an alternative lifestyle, do your things by all means. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna step on your feet, but I also don't have to be with it. You know what I'm saying? I can just
mhm,
observe it and be like, all right, that's what's up. I can be indifferent. And indifference is the best you got coming from me.
mhm,
Mind my damn business is the best you got. And that's a peaceful mind my business. It's not like I'm disgusted. I hate you, motherfucker. It's just, hey man, they ain't got no shit to do with me. Love you, love and respect though. You know what I'm saying? And
right,
that's what they got coming from me. And with that indifference, I'll try to guide my son to be, loving of all people, indifferent to what their differences are. But again, be strong in who he wants to be and not be guided by the random alternative shit that you might see in the media or on TV. And again, that right is being questioned in fathers, and they're trying to stop us, especially black men from that. But they don't have a problem letting us listen to murderous drug dealing songs on the radio.
that's
It's fine.
that's a whole nother conversation
Yeah,
right
but
there, boy.
yeah. So I mean, it's we got bigger issues, but this is an issue. It's just
Yeah,
you know whatever, man.
yeah,
I don't know, bro.
right. Because that's the, like you said, that's the counter argument, how masculinity could be perceived in that, that nature,
Mm,
being overly aggressive,
yeah,
exploiting, their communities, women, um, only interest in, as far as having greed,
and those do more
cars, the
damage.
jewelry, the luxurious lifestyle,
Those do far more
drugs.
damage, far more
Right.
damaging those. And so while it is this other stuff is an issue, it's an irritant compared to the culture of barbarianism that is taking over our music and the culture of pimping and disrespecting women and the acceptance that a man might get for saying he'll slap the shit out of a woman and rapping about it, and nobody's like, oh, this lyric's a little rough for me. Let me skip the song. The niggas be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nah, that shit ain't what we, you know what I'm saying? Like that,
Yeah.
that is an issue. So
We
masculinity,
gotta,
hell, this could be
we
10
got,
conversations.
right. Right. There's so many facets to it. And like I said, we got to check ourselves, because we could be
Mm-hmm.
walking, hypocrites when we bumping
Right,
that same music in the
right.
house, in the car, our children in the back seat listening to this, and then on the other side we attacking it too. It's like, bro,
Yeah.
what is it gonna be? We gotta start, being real selective with our music choices. I often don't listen to music as much as I used to, but like I said,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation. And we'll definitely get into that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered a lot of bases with this conversation. Um, like I said, we can go on and on, but for the sake of time, we wanted to wrap this up, man. But any closing statements, man? I know obviously at the end of the day, we have to take care of what's most important, and that's what's at home. Forget
Mm-hmm.
TV, forget social media. We have to shut all those type of things off, turn your device off, and worry about establishing those principles, your values, your beliefs at home,
Mm-hmm.
without any other outside influences, and have, like I said, have more open conversation, discussion. Obviously, if you got younger children, prepare for it. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. If you have older children, Let's find out ways to move forward in conversation. I know they're seeing things, like I said, beyond the age of 5 and 6. They're hearing things, they're seeing things. Things are coming to mind.
Mhm.
So we have to be real deliberate in our approach. And if we're wrong, I think we need to educate ourselves, have more open conversations with our spouses or loved ones, um, and I think we have to be fair, um, and let them know that, hey, you know, this is a reality. Um, let them know this is my idea. This is how Daddy was raised. And I believe this is the way that's more commendable for what's going on in this household. As you get older, if you start to see things different, we'll revisit the conversation. But as of right now, we're going to continue in the path that we set for you. Um, because like I said, you want that rigidity, but at the same time, you're not growing yourself again. This is someone totally different. But I'm gonna let you
Mhm.
get the last word, Kev. What you got?
I think just the most important thing is, understanding that the question of most of this is spectacle and the need for spectacle and attention. The best thing you can do, besides being your kid's hero in whatever form that might take, whatever is necessary to get their attention, is to give them attention and to speak life into them, to such a degree that they don't need the world to tell them they're great when they're adults. They don't need people to pat them on the back or to give them the pleasure of spectacle. I grew up in a household where my self esteem, the household was sometimes chaotic. My mom was the most loving alcoholic in the world. My brothers were like, I had like three dads because my brothers were all so much older than me. It was like I had like three people telling me I was a great, three people making me feel like I was a man and showing me what the way was. And so for me, I never needed anybody's approval because the people who mattered most were there to give me their approval and to guide me and show me. And I always knew where I belonged, and I felt like I felt like I belonged. And so if a father can give his child a sense of belonging, then they don't need the world to do anything for them, and
Absolutely.
they don't need to make a spectacle of themselves. And fame is not as alluring a drug as it is to those who didn't get that attention, that consideration, and get life spoken into them, and get loved and get nurtured, but also get led strongly, right? So that's our job as fathers, is just to make sure that we are that abrasion, we are that rock, we are that hard bed sometimes that they got to lay on, but they also get the protection, they also get the leadership from us, and the guidance, and the love, and the the cheerleading and the support and all of those things. And so I think if we do that, whatever they become, we can be proud of.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So, like I said, glad we had this conversation, Kev.
Hey,
Um,
love.
Listen, family, like, subscribe. Like I said, we just now moved over to the YouTube side of things. So please show your support, show love, share this content. Again, we want to reach as many people as possible. Rate us, leave comments below. Let us know what you think of this. Whether you agree or you disagree, just keep it honest, but keep it respectful. All right. So hey, we up out of here, man. Without further ado, it's your boy Dale Holloway. That's Kev Hick. Peace and love.
Peace and love.